says off air. There we go. We're live.
Welcome to episode number 11 of Yanking Chains, a podcast where we talk about everything endurance. I'm Matt Momont.
I'm Vince Matteo.
And I'm Maria Simone.
Welcome back. So this week, how you guys been?
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Maria, you're coming up on a big race here. This is peak week for Maria, I think.
No, I am officially 3 weeks out today.
Today, okay.
So tomorrow is a shorter ride than usual, which is nice. Looking forward to 5 hours instead of 10, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, man.
So does Mary know that you're doing a double Ironman?
I do.
Yeah. So, but it's in 3 weeks, so I am officially in taper. But the first week of taper is never. It's not like an abrupt shut off. But it's enough. I mean, the difference between 5 and 10 is going to make a huge difference in my life tomorrow.
Yeah.
As in, I will actually have an afternoon. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
And you might be able to feel your ass.
I might be able to feel my ass. Every week it's like I get to the point on Friday night where I've successfully managed the saddle sores, and then I get back on the bike and I'm like, oh, they're back again. This week, John convinced me to try out Zwift. I don't know if you guys have heard of Zwift.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a video game you play with your bike.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much how I see it, and I am like, I shouldn't be on this.
Do they have 10-hour courses on that?
They have courses, and I can hook my trainer into it, and it makes my trainer do things. But you can see other people riding. And the first day I did it, I was like, all right, this is my workout today. I'm sticking to it. I'm being a good girl here, and I was good. And it was like this one part of the section. They have like sprints, which of course I get my ass kicked because I'm like, what sprint? What? And then what is that? Like hard? You go hard? Is that what it is? And then they have like King and Queen of the Mountain sections. This is where I got into a little bit of trouble because we were going up and I was sticking to my workout, I swear. And the first Queen of the Mountain section came up when I was like in the middle of one of my intervals, which was like I'm like at about 85, 90-ish% of FTP, and I wound up being like second Queen of the Mountain, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So Thursday.
Second out of how many?
I don't know. Come on, Matt. Details.
One. Damn those fractions.
So Thursday I get on, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do their little sprints, and I'm gonna do the Queen of the Mountain thing, and I'm gonna like ride steady in between. So I'll have these little high intensity intervals, and I'll ride steady in between. Yeah, I just need to not use Zwift because I'm so competitive. I'm like, I want that polka dot jersey, and I did have it for like 5 minutes. Just saying.
That's why I won't get on Strava, because I know I'll destroy myself like all the time.
I know. It was
Wait, so in the middle of a 10-hour ride, you were winning Queen of the Mountain?
No. No, Matt, no. My weekend rides are like easy peasy pudding pie. No, they're like just sit on this thing for 10 hours and turn the pedals. No, this was like a midweek ride where I do try to do a little bit of intensity during the week, so it's not like I'm completely flat. But anyway, that's my big story. Zwift is a video game you play with your bike, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Maybe they'll sponsor us.
But it's a really bad idea if you want to just stick to your workout. It's a bad idea.
Nice. Vince?
John's in the other room saying you could put your workout in it, but the point is I want to beat the other people around me. So I can stick to my workout, but what if I'm not beating the people around me?
Your workout's not hard enough then.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should go back to those little Ironman things,
Yeah. The short races.
But anyway, that's my story of the week.
How you doing, Vince?
I'm all right. I got I don't know, Mary, if you follow, but I'm hooked on hundreds now.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I have now gotten to the point where the distance isn't an obstacle, but so now I'm trying to work on speed, and speed is so foreign to me. I mean, it's like my best off the bike in an Ironman is 3:19, and I got a marathon coming up in a week and a half, and I'm like, if I can run better than 3:30, I'd be like happy. And I'm not even sure. I'm like, if I could just I'm like old, so if my Boston time is like 3:25, I'm like, I don't even think I can qualify for Boston.
Aw,
It's such a sad world.
man.
It's just I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I have no idea. I feel like it can run fast, but I have no idea how to pace it. It's crazy going from like the ultra stuff to back to like the human stuff. So that's my world. Matt, how are you?
This weekend got a bunch of biking on the calendar. Last weekend, snowboarding in Tahoe. Didn't get hurt. That was good.
Nice.
Next weekend, I'm in Vail snowboarding for 5 days, so that should be good training, good altitude training.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ironman is a month out, I think 5 weeks out from an Ironman. So.
Oh, so you're like definitely in peak weeks, Matt.
No,
yeah, that's why I'm going on vacation.
Yeah. Matt decided to throw an early season Ironman in, basically with 3 months of training.
We'll be fine.
Let's see what
And he's like, and it's an A race. I'm like, no, it's not.
All races are A races.
See, this is why when Mary tweets stuff out, I'm like, I feel like I'm like connected to her because I know it's like this kind of shit, It's like,
every race is an A
Mary,
race.
we're peeps.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Can't
that's
even-
right.
I'm going to find a way to qualify for Kona at this race, even though there aren't any slots.
Yeah.
It should be easy.
Yeah.
Maybe your performance, Matt, will be so incredible that WTC will be like, you know what? Let's give this kid a slot.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly,
he just-
They'll give him a women's spot.
They're good.
Yeah, exactly. They don't seem to care much
She
about
went
those.
there. She went there early.
I like it.
Damn.
I like it.
Man, yeah.
I'm ready. I got some reinforcements.
It's like, what is it? 49 women in Matacona.
I like that. That could change the
That's gonna be my new
Yeah,
website. I'm
I'm all
registering
for
that
that.
URL right now.
That's it. There we go. I
49
will
women
fund
in there.
that.
49 women in their underwear model.
Yeah.
And a dude with a man bun.
Who slipped in?
Shit. Don't go into the wrong tent, buddy.
All right.
All right.
All right, let's get to Mary. I got lots of questions.
So Maria, would you like to introduce Mary?
Yeah, so
Mary
I am-
Malacca. Who's Mary?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have Mary on the show. So thanks, Mary, for coming.
Oh, thank you.
I started following Mary on Twitter probably, I don't even know, 5 or 6 years ago at this point. I don't know. It's been a while that we've been internet friends. We've run into each other here and there in the physical real, and one of the things I think why I wanted to have Mary on the show and why I wanted to introduce, and I know Vince was really eager to have you on the show too, Mary, but one of the things that I really liked about you in reading your blog and watching your posts is you talk a lot about like giving back to the community. So I think that's one thing that everyone listening should know about Mary is that she's really about, triathlon can be a selfish sport, but she's definitely about like, how can she use this as a springboard to do good for others? And I think that really infuses a lot of your life. So that's my bio, but the actual bio, Mary's a 42-year-old mother and wife. She's been competing in triathlon for 20 years. She's done a bunch of Ironmans over the course of 10 years. She's been a triathlon coach for 12 years. She's founded the Valor, you say that, or Valor?
Valor?
The
Valor.
Not Valor. Oh my God.
Charlie Abrahams
awesome.
is going to love
I
that
swear
you
to
said
God, I
that.
teach college. You would never know.
Those are Matt's pants. They're velour.
Charlie Abrahams gives me
Right.
such crap for the spelling, and he's always saying it's velour.
Yeah.
He's going to love that.
She has founded the Valor Triathlon Project. She's also a pediatric emergency nurse, and she mostly works as a simulation specialist in the nursing program at the Finger Lakes Community College, and she's pursuing a master's degree in nursing education. So what's your excuse for not getting your workout done today, people? Come on, listen to this woman. She's
Jeez.
incredible.
Actually, I feel like the slacker with you guys. I have no Ironman, no 100, no
No,
double Ironman on the docket.
but you're doing some super cool stuff, and maybe that's where we
Yeah.
start. Because you've got this incredible athletic history. I know you've got a really strong swimming background too.
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. So talk a little bit about, I guess, where you find yourself now, and
I don't really know. I've kind of gone through this struggle the past few years where, like, I remember when I finished my last Ironman in Mount Tremblant was 2013, and I remember finishing that being like, I am done with this. I did all my Ironmans in the second 10 years of my career. Like, it wasn't my first Ironman.
yeah,
And then last summer I started to have, when I was 40, I learned how to speed skate. last summer I got into supboarding and started racing on that, and started snowboarding a couple years ago when I was 40.
That's
I
awesome.
got my son a snowboard, and so we started learning how to snowboard together, and then cross-country skiing, and then I got back into downhill skiing this year. So my hunger to compete is getting replaced by this addiction I have to learning new stuff. So
Yeah.
I just bought some telemark skis. I don't know what I'm going to do with those, especially with whatever. It's cheaper than triathlon. So I'm kind of at this weird point in my career where I don't really know what I'm doing.
That's kind of exciting, though.
Yeah. I get in and out, like, oh, I'm making a comeback. Oh, I'm not. Like, I know I won't do another Ironman for a long time. My first Ironman was like $250.
Yeah.
So, just like, what? I paid what? So.
Yeah. Plus
yeah,
another
it's been
500
fun to do
now.
some exploring. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying the exploring stuff lately.
Yeah. Speed skating. I really want to come back in another life as a speed skater.
Yeah. I had a little trouble with the left turn, which is a problem. Because that's like the whole thing.
You're right, exactly. Yep.
But for cycling, it was like during my lessons you rented skates, and my skates didn't fit me quite right. So I think it was the skate, not me, of course. And but cyclists do well in speed skating because we can hold that crouch down position really well. But that left turn, if we could turn right, it would have been really
great.
Been a
little bit better.
You'd be winning.
I'd probably qualify for the Olympics. Yeah. So.
That's funny thinking about it. When I would probably be good at left.
Yeah, and I ice skated growing up. I grew up in a hockey family, but I was totally the skate.
Oh. Well, so did you burn out? Did you burn out on triathlon?
I kind of think I have. I just I do announce for there's a local series here called the Score This series, and I was kind of going back and forth with someone. I call him my brother. His name is Rich Clark. He's one of the owners of it, and he's like, "Are you going to announce? Or are you going to race?" And I'm like, I love announcing people across. I get so excited because you get to see the end of their story. But when I cross, I don't have that like, oh, awesome, I did another triathlon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to announce their series. I did sign up for a few races, but I don't know. I'm taking a little break this month, and I'm really having fun. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I did burn out a little bit, though. And it's scary because when that's your identity for so long, you're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I found, for me personally, I definitely like burned out, and just a lot of trainer sessions grinding away, and then I got hooked into ultras, and I was like, this is the fun that I used to be having.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm, like I like doing them, but I'm not going to do them competitively, I don't think, or but then I go back and forth, and I don't know. I mean, it's funny that you found other things, and it's like I'm like there's other things that draw me in,
Yeah. Like I go to the slopes, and I'm still on the green trails, and I'm like, could I get good enough to like do a master's race on the Black Diamond trails, because that's what a 40-year-old should do.
But it's interesting, Mary. Like what I hear from you is like you're not really burnt out necessarily on the learning a craft and progressing and even competing. It's just kind of, 20 years of triathlons. I mean, that's a long
Jesus.
It's a long time to be doing a single thing. And you were super competitive. So
I was able, like, here's a funny little fact is back in the day, like around 2000 and 1999, I raced in the now known Subaru Triathlon Series up in Canada. And you could just sign up and race pro. So I raced 2 years pro up there with and one race I did was Muskoka before it became what it is today, and I pull into transition with my baby jogger, and I racked between Karen Smyers and Lisa Bentley. I was like, I could really die right here, and by some stroke of miracle I come off the bike. It was Karen Smyers, Lisa Bentley, then me, and then of course I got like chewed up on the run, but I got to race with them. I got to race with Alicia Kay. It was either in Aurelia or Barrie when one of her first races. She was 16, and she crushed everyone. It was so like I've gotten to race with some of the old, veterans of triathlon up in Canada just by signing up to race pro. So Lori Bowden, awesome. I got to race against her once. I say against, but like way far back. But incidentally, some of the legends. So I really got lucky in some of the places I landed.
Yeah,
Wow.
you've really done. I mean, I know in your triathlon career, like what I know from reading your blog and that kind of stuff, you've really gotten to do some of like the key benchmark things.
Yeah.
So I would
I've qualified for Kona and I've never done it.
What?
I know. I've qualified 3 times. The first time I qualified in the pro category in Canada, I think it was 99, and I was like, no, I wasn't ready. I didn't want to do an Ironman. The second time was at Lake Placid, and Luke was only like 2, and I was like, I can't drag this baby, bless you, over to Hawaii. And then the third time it was like the same thing. He was only 5, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. I always say Kona's the best of the best who can afford to go, and I could afford to go, but I didn't want to spend that money. We paid off our mortgage instead. So, and then in 2012, this will later relate to the Lance story. I was in Kona with QT2. We were coaching, and I kind of went to see like, all right, I had watched my husband did it in '99, and it didn't really draw me in. And
Really?
I don't know why. But that was the year Luke Van Leerd won it, and that's who my son's named after. But in 2012, I said, you're going to stand at the finish line, and is this what you want to do? Because QT2 is all about Kona, And I stood there. That was the year that Miranda Carfrae had some trouble. And here she is. We're 400 yards from the finish line, and she's like, and I'm like, yeah, no. Because, like, Molly, Charlie, and I, we're jumping off cliffs, we're going surfing, and everyone was sitting in the house in their Normatex. I'm like, you guys, this is Hawaii, come on. So I was like, nope, I'm good. So I knew I could leave that undone.
I have a love-hate relationship with Hawaii.
That's cool.
Yeah. Did you do it?
Yeah, I've been there 4 times.
No kid. I did know that. When was your last one?
2013.
Okay, so were you there in 2012?
I was in there 10, 11, 12, and 13.
So I probably saw you on the course and didn't even know it.
I was suffering. Like everyone else, but
yep.
And that's the hate part of it. It's like you have these dreams going in, and even even if you have realistic dreams, they just most of the time you get shattered. Yeah.
There's a lot of shuffling on the Queen K out there.
Yeah.
But the best part was I got to go to the Thank God I'm Not Racing party, and everyone was there. It was the bomb.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the way to do Kona.
Yeah, I would say of the 2 times I went, I had more fun spectating for John than actually doing the race, for sure.
Yeah.
It's more,
It's
a fun place to spectate.
It really is. So.
Yeah.
So you went from QT2 to VTP. Yeah.
I actually owned another company before that called Train This.
Okay.
That was my first coaching company. And then I started racing. I was coached by Jesse Kropelnicki from 2009. And then in 2010, he invited me to join QT2 as a coach. So I did that for I think I did that for 2 years. And then I jumped out. And then, Jenny Hansen and I formed VTP. And it was I had a great education at QT2, and Jesse couldn't have been more gracious when I asked if I could leave, because he probably could have held me to some clause preventing me from coaching, but he was like, I don't want to prevent you from coaching the way that you want to coach. So I learned so much. That was a good education for me, and I learned a lot, and I made a lot of good friends. So yeah, it was awesome. And now my husband, he left corporate America last year, and he's taking over much of Valor right now, which is great. He's a great coach. He's not on social media, and he doesn't put up
So he's got a lot of time then, is what you're saying.
He's actually doing analysis.
If he's not on social media, is he a real person? I mean, I don't know.
He's one of these guys who doesn't put up rants on social media. He just coaches.
Wow. He seems so normal and human.
I know, it's so weird. Yeah, he's off the grid. He's my imaginary son.
Yeah.
I see him in pictures though that you post, so he's sort of on social media.
Does he look like a sock puppet?
Yeah. This is my husband. This is Kurt.
Now,
Kurt, I love you.
Now he's a really incredible athlete too. Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, he's 17 years my senior, so he is 59. And I'm
You're like,
42. I'm like, what?
only
And
have 10 bagels.
we met on a 50-mile training ride about 20 years ago. So, and he's done Kona once or twice. Yeah, he's one of those guys who's like, I'm not gonna take it, whatever. He does more short course. He's been national champion a couple times of his age group in duathlon and triathlon. He's only done 4 Ironmans. He's smart. He's been in this career for like, that's it.
two Ironman, 2 Konas, 4.
So whatever. Yeah, exactly. And what he had done 2 Ironmans earlier in our marriage, and then I did Ironman Florida in 2007, and I broke 11 hours. And as great as he is, he never went under 11 hours. And the next morning, we're sitting at Waffle House, and he's like, I'm going to sign up. You can't have the fastest time in the family. So for a year, I was the fastest. So then I thought, well, maybe Kurt will do like a 10:30, and then I'll go up for like a 10:15. No. At 54 years old, he goes a 9:59, or no, 9:54. I was like, well, I don't know what to do with that, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, you can have the record.
I was like, I guess that's it.
Where did he do that?
Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, yeah, he's really talented. So he's aiming to go back to nationals because now he's going to race as a 60-year-old. Because he's one of those guys who's really 59, but he's going to race as a 60-year-old. He's that birthday thing. So
he's a whippersnapper.
Yeah, he'll probably be on the podium.
And the 64-year-old guys be like, you asshole, stole my position.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, honestly, the key to his longevity is that he's stayed away from the distance stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been smart.
It's hard with the burnout. I mean, I think in some ways it's just the hours and hours of racing.
Like 10 hours on a bike?
I'm feeling it now. I have officially said I'm not doing this again, but I said that last year.
Last year you did like a 12-hour or something ridiculous?
Yeah, and I realized I didn't need to do
all
that
day. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so you dialed it down 2 freaking hours? Like, that's a huge difference. I mean, it's like 10, 12. Doesn't really make a difference.
I'm still going to be out there for like 13 hours, 14 hours. So the new course is in Claremont, so it's going to be a slower course than last year. It's a little earlier. But, I only did 1 10-hour. Last year I did like a 10-hour, a 12-hour, a bunch of 8s, 9s. This year I really did dial it back this year, and but now of course I'm having the 3 weeks out and I'm panicking. Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you.
Yeah, this is about you. So as a coach, what is your like general philosophy?
My big philosophy is it really comes from a health standpoint first. I've seen a lot of athletes, a lot of female athletes. I kind of been watching this over the years. Just get into an unhealthy state due to either injury, eating issues, whatever, and get themselves super injured. So my biggest thing is health. Like if I have an athlete who has a niggle or something, we address it right away. I don't try to address it over the internet. I'm like, you got to see a doctor. You got to see a provider. But it has to come from health. If you have no health, you have nothing else.
Yeah.
And some athletes I train by perceived exertion, some by power, some by pace, a lot by heart rate because it's cheap and it's really reliable for us. But we really want to develop. I don't like a lot of the data. The data is important more for the coach than for the athlete because we coach remotely. So, but I always tell my athletes, I'm like, when Miranda Carfrey gets on that podium and says, "Thank God I stuck to, 75% of my FTP or whatever,"
Brought to you by Power Tap.
Yeah. Or that's not how she races. That's not how like Gwen Jorgensen races. I have a friend whose name is Jorgensen, so I always mix that up. But like when they're on the podium, they're never like, I stuck to my heart rate, I stuck to my VDOT. But they race more from here, and that's really what I try to get out of our athletes, regardless of whether they're elite age group, pro, or back of the packers, is to develop that hunger. So that's something I'm super passionate about. Getting them to race from, it's going to sound corny, but their heart rather than their watch. How many athletes have we seen stand in transition like, I'm trying to locate? It makes me sad when people are just freak out about batteries on shifters and things like that. So our big philosophy is, you got to be healthy. You got to learn to race from within because every great performance in history, look at the athletes, all the great performances, they're from a deeper place than a number on the watch. So I don't
Yeah,
have
like
any.
when they're
Yeah.
coming down, like the Queen K, a couple
Yeah.
miles out, they're not going, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go ahead because my
Yeah,
heart rate says I need
exactly.
to stop here."
Exactly. I think we lose some of the imagery, like grab the water, cut them off, those things, So yeah, that's our thing.
So what do you do at your training camp in Lake Placid?
Oh man, we have a lot of fun. We pack 3 houses full of people. We have bunk beds, and then for 3 days we swim, bike, and run in Lake Placid, and we do. If you're training for a sprint triathlon, we tailor your weekend to you. If you're training for an Ironman, we tailor your weekend for you. We always have groups come. We pair people up. We stand up paddleboard while people swim. We do some run clinics, and we sag the bike rides, and
Nice.
we eat good food. So we have a lot of fun.
Okay, am I going to start asking all the questions? I thought I was going to wait for someone else.
No, I was just I was trying to be mindful. I feel like I interrupt all the time, so I was trying to be like a good girl.
No.
Maybe we need to start like a hand raising system or something. I kind of wanted to just go back to your coaching philosophy because I just read well, not just, but like a week or two ago, I read the blog that you had posted about swimming and kind of the approach you take for swimming, and you had so if I had to say 4 tips or whatever, but it was so much more than like a listicle, the article. For those of you listening, if you want, Mary's blog is mary-eggers.com, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so if you scroll down a bit, it's not one of the more it's like 2 or 3 posts ago. You talk about swimming in there, and I really, I like it because I'm not, I come from a run background, so for me, I didn't learn how to swim till I was 35, and when I read that post, I was like, I get so much of this,
Good.
Yeah. So I didn't know if maybe you wanted to talk a little bit about that, about swimming, and because you have such a strong swim background.
I grew up a swimmer. Believe it or not, I was a swimmer and a dancer.
That makes sense.
Of course, my big shoulders in my ballet class, Gary was always like, "What are you doing?" But I really had the fortune of having a lot of good coaches that really taught us. Swimmers are good at perception and listening. Because you'll see swim meets happen, whistling's going on. That's how we pace. We're not looking at watches. We're going by feel and by listening. But I think there's a lot of swim garbage out there. Like, do this, don't do this. My big thing is do what makes sense. My master's coach is always like, a pull buoy is only if you're drowning. For a swimmer, that's true. But so many runners, like you're a runner, you learn a different rotation. Your hip and your shoulders. Runners rotate like this, and then you get in the water, and that's why you wiggle. So I use a pull buoy to try to connect your hips and shoulders. Whereas a swimmer, we rotate. We start to run like Andy Potts, very flat. So we don't need the pull buoy so much. But I think there's good value in each of those things. Go ahead.
No, I was just what you're saying about the pull buoy is exactly my experience when I first started swimming. The first time I put a pull buoy in, I'm like, what's going on with the second half of my body? Like, what's going on down there? And I remember and this was kind of, even when I started working with you, Vince, you'd give me pull sets, and I'm like, what the hell's happened to my ass? Like, why is it not? Why is it not coming with the rest?
Why is it so cold?
Why is it over there? Why is it coming here with me? But using the pull buoy in that sense really did teach me much better body awareness.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I was just kind of piling on there because I was like, that happened to me.
Yeah, he and I will argue about it all the time, or I'll hear certain people say, don't use paddles. I mean, why not? If they're going to help vary your training or help you develop that catch, then go for it. I mean, there was a coach I heard, put up, the Facebook rant, you should never do swim analysis. And I'm like, well, I don't have a peer-reviewed journal article to prove that videotaping your swim stroke is going to help you by XX%. But I can tell you that in 12 years of coaching, every person that I've done a video analysis for who works on those little deficiencies makes an improvement.
Yeah.
So, or people will be like, drilling's not important. Well, Michael Phelps drills, all the, Natalie Coughlin drills. So, again, I don't have a peer-reviewed exact article that says you'll make this % improvement, but in so many years, people who do it tend to improve. That's all I got, you know.
Yeah.
Well, again, does it make sense?
And the thing too is like you get in the water and this is all like one movement.
Yeah.
And you try to tell somebody, hey, look, your hand's doing this, and they just keep doing this and this and this, and then you see it on video,
You're like,
and they're
whoa.
like, oh, what the hell,
Yeah. Like I have a straight left arm recovery. Yeah, and I've had that since I was 5. But I'll tell you, no way, my left arm bends. And then my master's coach every day, he'll like take his phone and be like, see, I'll be like, you gotta be kidding me. I swear to God I'm doing this. Nope. I mean, it's the exact thing. Like you don't realize what you're doing unless you see it.
Yeah.
So I think it's only helpful. Why not work on it?
My hands, the first time I did video, my hands were diving straight to the bottom of the pool. The entry is like, oh, no wonder why my stroke sucks. I like can't pull any water. There's no water to pull.
So, yeah,
Just take it down and lift it out.
Yeah, just swim.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the video. I mean, I would throw down with anyone that said you're not helping people. I'd be like, no, that's not.
I think that really
true.
comes like when coaches I think start to say things like that's not important when they're talking about details. And I'll probably get slammed for saying this, but I feel like that comes from a place of ignorance. Yeah, you got to get out and run. But I think ignoring things like form, things that lead to injury is a irresponsible way to coach someone,
Yeah.
Well, but it's funny because I did swim lessons with an Olympic swimmer, and he was telling me to do something, and then you've got a guy like Jerry Rodriguez that says, no, that's wrong. And it's like, all right, this guy's fast. This guy coaches a lot of people that are fast. Who's right? And you go to 10 different coaches, and you get like 10 different pieces of advice. I'm like, gah!
That is exactly right. Exactly right. And I always tell people, like, if you're going to come to us for video, know that we could give you this video, and you could take it back to your triathlon coach, and they might give you something different. The person I would listen to is the person who's always going to watch you swim.
That's right.
So like if I do one of your athletes, Maria, and I say this and you say, well, let's work on this first, I would have them go with yours first because you're the one who's going to follow up, So, but that's so true. You could get something, look at all the different running philosophies out there, or even cadence philosophies on the bike.
I was going to ask about that, Maria. Mary, do you have like you had the 4 tips on swimming? I read those too. They're very, very useful. Again, late in life.
Yeah.
But for running and biking, do you have sort of the same philosophy? Is it technique based? Are you guys obsessive about technique when it comes to running and biking?
We're not obsessive about technique, but here's what I'll tell you. I had when I had my first run analysis done, the coach took a video of me and stretched me. Took a video and I must have compressed me over an elite runner because I was 4 inches taller than the runner. And said, you really need to run like she does. And I was like, but I'm like 4 inches taller than her. Like, we have different body types.
Was this Kate Snow?
And that's probably what he was not saying, but like she's got a great running form. But I really started to look at running like, I'm a swimmer. Like, I run like Andy Potts, just not as fast. But, very flat. So I'm going to have a different running style. So I think that when we start looking at, like, I look at swim styles individually. I don't want everyone to swim like Michael Phelps or Missy Franklin. And I don't think we all should try to run like Kate Snow. I think we all, there's individualities that we want to pay attention to, if that makes sense. So I think there's a lot of individuality, and once you see someone run a whole bunch of times, you kind of get that. Like Hillary Biscay has that flare out of her leg. And Brett Patton once said, he goes, I'm not going to change that. I would change that if she was 12. Yet other coaches were like, she needs to change that. And he's like, she's running fine with it, so why would we? So,
Well, and it might hurt her.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. He's like, if she fixes that now, we could be screwed. So, I think you got to take those individualities into consideration, and no 2 athletes are alike. And, try as I might, I'm not going to have the same form as someone as great as Kate Snow or even Elisa Bentley. So, yeah, individuality is so key. And you learn that by coaching. You can take all the certifications you want, you can get all the equipment you want, but unless you get out there on deck and just watch people, that's where I think the real education happens.
Yeah, you start working with bodies and you see how different all the bodies are. And even like you had mentioned heart rate, and I know that you're not a slave to the data, but even something like heart rate across people is so wildly different.
Oh, yeah.
And even how their body reacts to power and the relationship with heart rate. It's really, so when you start comparing all the different bodies, you're like, wow, there's so many different ways this could go, and so many different combinations. Yeah.
So protocol type of coaching was just not, I can't do it, because I have to, the pro's different from back of the packer. I had a breast cancer survivor who we had a mastectomy, and I forgot why, but she couldn't get her elbow in while she ran. I think it was just because of the surgery. So, one of the big run analysis things is get your elbows in, you want to be, but it didn't work for her, and she qualified for Boston. So, you really have to look at those types of things, but I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, I think, as an athlete, I would sit at the pool and I would watch people swim.
Yeah.
And then the more people you watch, you'll see somebody that swims really well, and then then you've got the person who's doing 25s and they're out of breath. But you start to kind of pick up things, and I think even as an athlete, if you're trying to figure out what is maybe something that you could learn, just watch people at the pool.
Exactly. Sit at the lap swim. Even the old people.
Yeah.
And I always say one of my college coaches said, he's like, let's sit here and watch our teammates swim, because he would pull us out and have coach chat every now and then, and he's like, you can tell a lot about a personality by the way someone swims. Someone who's very precise is very careful. Someone like me who's a swinger is, if I didn't mean that sounded, swings the arm, is a little bit more reckless. So I always try to guess people's personality when I watch them swim, and I'm usually pretty close.
That's funny. So, I'm going to send you a video just for that analysis.
Yeah.
Forget the form. Just tell me what my personality's like.
What my personality type is.
I know I kick like a maniac, so I so that tells you something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
So I don't remember when it was, but you had some sort of kicking contest with Mr. Lance Armstrong.
I was just going to ask about that. I saw pictures.
This was about, I have to tell the origin of it because it got so out of hand that I was some kicking superstar. This all started off as a huge joke. I was a distance swimmer in college, and I was a lazy kicker, and my coach always really got upset with me about that. And then on QT2, they had this one set where you would do, I think it was 50s kicking and 50s pulling, and you would time each. And I very distinctly remember I walked out of the YMCA one day and I texted Pat Wheeler, who's with QT2, and I said, oh my God, I didn't even break a minute for my 50 kick. And then he's like, somehow it became this contest between he and I, this 50 kick time. So then we went to training camp in Claremont, and we had a kickoff. So we raced with kickboards, and I won. And it was just this big, our little team thing, the kickoff. So it was in March, and one of my athletes had called me, and he's like, hey, Lance Armstrong's coming to, I live in Rochester, I grew up in Buffalo. He goes, Lance Armstrong's coming to the University of Buffalo. He's going to give a talk. You want to go? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I got you a ticket. I'm like, awesome. So I was out one morning running, and I'm like, and at that time, I was also working with teens living with cancer. And I had worked with a couple people to develop a fitness program for teens who had just finished chemotherapy to get healthy again.
Wow.
Because they didn't have that. Believe it or not, doctors just tell these kids, go out and get healthy. There was no structured program. So
good luck with that.
They're like, whatever. And this organization was started by a woman who, when I got involved, it was about 10 years old, teens living with cancer. Her daughter died. Her 17-year-old daughter died of cancer it was a very quick fight, and that's what she did with her grief was start this foundation. So I was out running one day trying to be creative because they're always looking for creative ways to fundraise. I was like, I should tweet Lance Armstrong and see if he'd race me in a 50 kickoff. So I come home and I said that to my husband. I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I should tweet Lance Armstrong and see if he'll race me in a kickoff to raise money. He goes, oh, he would answer you. And I'm like, okay. So I tweet it, and then I put my phone down, and never expecting that to go anywhere. And I was upstairs helping my son brush his teeth, and my husband's like, something's going on with your phone. It's blowing up. And I'm like, this is not my phone. But I was like, oh, this has got, and in 5 minutes it got retweeted, whatever. And there was a tweet from Lance Armstrong, like, okay, what's this about? And then, I was like, oh, God. So what did I do, So then he got in touch with me, and he's like, yeah, totally, I would do this. So I went back and, told Lauren, the founder, I was like, so I challenged Lance Armstrong to a race. And it actually became the part of the story that nobody really knows is the absolute nightmare the logistics were. Roswell Park was originally mad at me because it was their event, and I kind of hijacked it. University of Buffalo was mad at me because of the same reason. USA Swimming actually came after us because we were calling it duel in the pool. And Michael Phelps' sister, Hillary, came after us because one of my friends got me an autographed kickboard from Michael Phelps to raffle off. So with all the news and stuff, people were coming at me like, my lawyer wants to talk to you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, oh my God, that's what I'm doing. So, everyone in the end came together. At the end of the day, Roswell Park actually opened a branch of Teens Living with Cancer. UB couldn't have been more gracious. USA Swimming was like, go ahead, and I just kept the kickboards from Michael Phelps. And I said, you can sue me if you want, but all I have is a dog. So beyond all that, it really kind of blew up into this media storm, and it was really kind of crazy. Every day we had media stuff, and Mr. Armstrong could not have been nicer. He was just, during the whole thing, he clearly knew that I had no plan and nothing going. And Livestrong at the time was just absolutely amazing. So yeah, the whole event was really fun. I got to hang out with him, and I don't know if I actually beat him, but I definitely bled out my nose trying to.
Oh my God!
Even if he let me win, it was awesome. It was awesome. At the end of the day, by that point, when the race happened, we had raised $54,000.
Oh my God!
And then later on in Kona, when I raced Crowe, we hit $100,000.
Nice.
And I was really just hoping for 1,000.
Oh my God!
That's
It was really, really fun. When we went to the whole event, the people from Roswell Park pulled me aside. They're like, so what's your marketing strategy? I'm like, I had none. I just asked on Twitter and Facebook.
I tweeted him.
Yeah.
And
Guerrilla marketing.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. The news channels were like, so tell us about this kicking career of yours. And I'm like, my college coach calls me up, and he's like, I couldn't get you to kick, and you're going to kick now? I'm like, this got way out of hand. So it was a really fun event. And then, of course, the big debacle happened. And, with all of the good that happened from that, I learned really quickly not to read people's comments in forums and stuff, because I got ripped apart because I was dealing with, this is before he was, he admitted it. I got absolutely shredded, but, we raised $100,000, and
yeah.
I don't care.
Yep.
So
that was, I remember, I was a big believer in him, and I was wishing that it wasn't true. And
Yeah.
I remember you tweeted out something, and I was like, wow, Mary, I hope you don't regret that, because you were sticking with him. You were sticking with him. And
burned at the cross, yeah.
and whoever was tweeting negative shit to you, they're assholes. But
Yeah.
but and that was kind of my thing, and I think you've answered it as looking back at what happened, what do you think about it? And you're like, well, he raised you guys raised $100,000, and
I was really conflicted. It was funny because I went to Kona, and I had flown from Kona to San Diego. And in the moment I got off the plane, my phone was blowing up, and I guess this is when he admitted it or something had happened. I'm like, why do these news organizations call me? I don't know. And I was really conflicted. So when he admitted it, he actually sent me a note, and he's like, I'd like you to gather up the teens for me. We're going to do a FaceTime call, and I'm going to apologize to them. And this whole time I'm like, I don't know what to think, because I would have I thought, he said he was innocent, so I thought he was innocent.
Yeah.
So I believed to the death. And I was like, what do I do now? What do we do? How do I make sense of all of this? So I sent them all an email, and I said, what do you guys want to do? He wants to gather you up and apologize to you. And there was 15 of them. And this still gives me chills. Every single one of them responded within an hour with almost the same email. They were like, he has absolutely nothing to apologize to us for.
Wow.
He helped us when nobody would. We're good. And I'm like, okay. And then as we get further away from it, I'm like, you know what? Because people ask me all the time, like, what do you think now? Are you upset that you did that? I'm like, no. Because if someone in my family is diagnosed with cancer, I'll sell my soul to the devil to get help for them, like, and he'd probably be on the list of people I would call, and that's just how it is. So I don't regret it at all. I would do it again. And again, we raised $100,000. They were absolutely right. They're like, he jumped in when nobody would help us. So that answered it for me. They're good. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense because, I mean, what Livestrong does is separate and apart from what he's done in his cycling career. I mean, obviously, he's made Livestrong because of what he did in his cycling career, but does that change the good that was done for those kids,
Yeah. And at 15 years old, if they can come to that resolution, they're the ones who, stared down the barrel of the gun with cancer. You know what I mean? Their biggest problem of the day isn't did Lance Armstrong cheat. They really didn't care. I just was like,
they were like, wait, is he a cyclist? What is he?
Yeah, they're like, oh, we probably weren't alive then, but they're like, well, try having cancer. So what if he lied? We don't care. And I'm like, wow, all of them said that, and I was stunned, absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
So,
where did you race Crowie?
In Kona.
No, but I mean, where specifically?
At the aquatic center, the Kona Aquatic Center.
Okay, yeah.
And how that happened was I was supposed to race Macca because somehow he got involved in some Twitter thing, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll race you, and I'm like, okay, great. So on the day of the race, he blew us off.
Oh my God.
and when he was like, oh, sorry, I'm on Maui doing a watch commercial, I was in the QT2 house, and the Normatec rep was over. Yeah, I know. I was like, I think he probably sent me a message. He's like, sorry, can't do it. And I was like, oh my God. And the guy was like, what? He's the rep from Normatec. I forgot his name, Gerard or something. And I'm like, Macca just blew me off. And he's like, wait, I'll get you Crowie. Like, he was a friend of Crowie.
Oh my God, that probably pissed off Macca too.
Oh yeah, Crowie, like 2 hours later, I'm swimming with Crowie, his kids, his family. He could not have been nicer. And within that time, we raised $5,000 just by saying, hey, I'm racing Crowie, donate here, boom.
Oh my God.
And I said to him, I go, I hope that shows you the power of your name and what you can do. And he kind of was like, yeah. And it was really fun. And again, he might have let me win. I don't know. But yeah, it was really.
All you know is you beat Lance Armstrong and Crowie.
Right. So that's probably why I don't really need to do anything else.
We got to get that on Athlinks somehow. I don't really,
Yeah, really.
Wow.
I don't really know how, but we should
I'm undefeated.
Oh my God.
I'm Pat Wheeler. So yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So.
WTC should give you one of those slots. You should be one of the,
I don't want. I'll be like, no, I don't want.
I already turned this race down 3 times.
God, don't make me go. Can I go surfing?
Oh my God. Yeah, I want to go back on a paddleboard. I bought an inflatable paddleboard so that I could get up on top of the water. I don't want to be underwater swimming, but I figure I can get up on top and paddle around on it.
It's so much fun when you do the other stuff in Kona, I'm telling you. And you're not sore or worried about the race. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, what else we got?
I think we're right up on time, gang.
Oh, we are?
Unless there's anything else.
That was fast. That was fun.
Well, I was feeling like I was I thought we were gonna get bogged down on something and run out of time. So I was like, all right, we got to blow through this quickly. So I know times are probably different, but what was a good Ironman swim time for you? Just curious.
57 minutes was my best.
Shit. Okay.
I've never run in 4 hours though, so let's take that. So.
And then bike is your second best discipline, I take it?
Yeah. I think my fastest was like Ironman Florida. I got drafting penalties, but I was pedaling backwards during the penalty.
Oh my God.
In like 5:40 or something like that. So not like people are riding today. No way. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, if my later years were my earlier years, I would have been able to go pro.
Yeah,
because people were like so slow back then, and I mean I shouldn't say it like that. The times weren't as fast as they are now.
Yeah, like I did a 4:48 in the Muscle Man one year, the first year, and I was able to win, and that was like, that qualified me to be pro. I mean, in these days, 448 as a female isn't going to do anything for you, you know. So people, equipment's gotten better.
Mary. Don't say it like that. It's still a very good time.
It's crazy. I still look at the times now, and I'm like, all right, if in my best shape, I could do this or whatever. And I watched some dude, I think it was at Wisconsin. I'm like, in my best anytime would never finish that fast.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome to watch. I think with more people getting into the sport, and that's what I love about being a coach and being, getting to announce races, is I get to, I get my enjoyment in watching the new people kind of come in,
Yeah.
And people, there's so many people in, and there's so many talented athletes that are beginning to filter in from other sports, that it's really fun to see people pick up the sport and move up the ladder really quickly and have fun with it. So I get so much enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
Well, you get I can't remember what's her last name now. She got married. That Melissa gal. She came over from Steeplechase, and then she was like a nobody at Vineman and beat Rennie with like some crazy ass 112 run off the bike or something. And I was like, who beat Rennie? Who is this person?
Yeah, people just appear, and it's unfortunate we'll never see like a Chrissy Wellington performance happen again. Like, who's this girl? Because of the new rules, but
What do you mean?
Because remember, Chrissy Wellington, her first Ironman was Ironman Korea, and I think it was August before she did her first Kona, and she came into Kona, and I remember watching the coverage, and they're like, who's this girl? And she was pointing to her chest, and I think she was pointing to a logo that was like super small, and they thought she was like, look at me!
Oh my God!
And I was like, but she was a nobody, like not on the radar anywhere, so she didn't, I mean, that was where you just got your spot to go as a pro. You didn't have to get any points. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So we won't see that again, unfortunately. That was such a treat.
That's right. I forgot. When did they start KPR? The Kona points.
God, I don't know. 2009 or 10, right?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. When my first races up in Canada, we had Velcro timing straps. I remember when Mark Roy of Sports Stats, because he was the timer and he was just a nobody, he was just the local timer guy. He shows me this chip. He goes, "This is the championship." I go, "What? Are you kidding me?" And now, like, crazy. You come out of the swing, you get this bracelet. Yeah, this is technology. You get this Velcro bracelet that had pieces on it. You come out of the swim, rip off your Velcro and hand it to the timer. Get off the bike, rip off your Velcro and hand it to the timer. And then it's the revenues. This was in the late 90s, or, it was just such a different world. But I'll never forget that first timing chip. It was like a spaceship.
Yeah. You all got to come and try the double, though, because it's such a small race that you actually have, there's lap
the double
counters.
Ironman? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
Mary.
No. Nope.
Come play with me, please.
She needs friends.
No.
Come play. They actually hand count your laps for the swim.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Well, there's not that many people. There's like 40 of us, You can't keep track of 40 people. Forget it.
It was in the pool. They've moved it to a pond now, right?
No, it's in a big lake. The lake is actually a pretty big size.
But it was in a pool, right?
It was in a pool last year in Florida.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Gosh.
No.
4.8 miles in a pool.
Oh,
I didn't mind it, but keep in mind I had been swimming that in training in a 25-yard pool, and so for me to switch to the race with a 50-meter pool.
That's a treat.
I was like, this is practically open water,
Yeah.
And it was an outdoor pool, so it was. I didn't mind the pool. The main advantage of the pool, you didn't have to sight at all.
That's true.
I never had to sight. It was great, and he put us in the lanes based on like our estimated swim time, so you got a nice little circle draft going. It was great.
Oh wow! Yeah.
This year I'm gonna have to do work. I'm gonna have to look where I'm going.
It's all yours.
You sure you don't want to come play?
Nope. Yeah, I'm good.
Maybe next year.
I think Mary's found her stand-up paddleboard.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's so awesome. So awesome. I know. I'm getting my new race board. It's like $1,500.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
When you look at a bike, though.
I know. I was gonna say. Everyone say, "Jeez, I just spent $7,000 on a bike."
I know. I'm like, it's like I'm in the right. I'm like, oh honey, it's only $1,500. He's like, that's fine. I'm like, score. Why was it?
That's not even a frame set.
It's not even race wheels.
Oh my God. Exactly. This is the bomb. So
my sister has gotten way into the stand-up paddleboarding. She does like they'll go down the beach here and they'll shoot the waves and stuff. But they even have like around the island stand-up paddle rows, like 20 miles or some such stuff like that. She loves it. She's totally into it.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So
all right,
fun.
I got a question for you about it because all I did was I bought one and then I just got up on top of it and figured it out, you know, and then I saw these people that were racing and they're actually their feet are even across the side of the board.
Yeah,
I don't do that. I ride it like a skateboard.
I taught myself on YouTube. Yeah, there's a couple different stances, and then this is the way you like arrive at the turn. You stand on the back of the board and flip it way up like this, so you're standing here, and then with the back end, you gotta like do this kind of turn.
Oh hell no!
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
I watch Vince do that.
Yeah. I remember we went to the lake and I was doing headstands on it.
Yeah, I could never get it. I haven't gotten into yoga on the paddleboard yet, but I'm telling you, it's and you know it's perfect sport for an endurance athlete because you've got the endurance and then being swimmers we got the upper body strength. So they said a lot of people cross over. So I would like to get in the ocean with it this year. So.
Ooh, I don't know. That seems scary.
My sister uses it in the ocean all the time. They love it. It's fun. Yeah, they ride the waves and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In Maui, they like surf paddleboard. You know.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
I
No.
remember I saw it
way junior.
I saw it in Hawaii a couple of years, like when I was there, like early 2000s, and I was like, that looks dangerous.
I might get hurt and not be able to ride my bike. I don't know.
I was like, I would never do something that dumb.
Yeah.
So here I am.
All right, Mary.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. This was so fun.
Thank you. And
I was finally glad to meet you. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, if you want to check out what Mary's about, her blog is at mary-eggers.com, and she's on Twitter as Mary Eggers.
Yeah, so easy.
And check her out in the Velour Tri Project.
Charlie's gonna love that.
You're ruining her brand here, dude.
I'm sorry.
Valor. You just say Valor over and over again. This episode is brought to you by Velour.
Brought to you by Velour running suits.
That's awesome.
All
right.
Well, thank you so much, Mary.
Oh, gosh, anytime.
So thank you guys for listening. We will be back in 2 weeks, probably Friday morning when I'm a little groggy and Maria's not in her pajamas. And I don't know if we have any guests lined up for then, do we?
Oh, we might.
We got to work on that.
All right, we're
working on it.
Guests for 2
Tweet
weeks.
us if you want to be a guest.
We're only going to get Scott Mason on here for the next 5 minutes.
Nice.
We'll only have Scott. All right. Well, thank you guys, and see you next time.
All right, take care.
Nighty,
Bye.
night.
Bye.